Hey guys, Jordan here. In this video, I'm gonna be answering a recent question that I got on a video, so let's get into it. All right, so today's question comes from Antoine K. Holt. Thank you so much, Antoine, for your question. He says, hey, what frame rate do you shoot your videos in? And are you using the Sony a7 III? Your samples look amazing. So in regards to the frame rate, we actually don't have a set one that we're shooting with. I think typically we're shooting either 24 frames or 30 frames per second. I don't get too caught up on what frame rate I'm shooting at. I think there are a few settings that we do use for, and I'm assuming you're talking about our real estate videography videos. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the samples I shot with an iPhone. But typically we're shooting with picture profile 10 if we're using the a7 III. Now with the Sony a7 IVs, which is what we use now, and we're actually changing the picture profile to PP11, which is a very nice color profile to get good dynamic range, and the color is really, really nice. So if you have a newer camera, but the HLG PP10 is a good profile as well. But frame rates, some videos will shoot in 120 frames per second, either in S&Q, or if I'm shooting with the a7S III, I'll just shoot in 120 frames. That allows me to move a little bit faster in a property and just be able to slow down the footage. If you're shooting S&Q, it's coming out of the camera slow. So I like to mix up the shots. I'm not a big fan of just shooting everything the same frame rate. Like if we're getting B-roll of like plants or something, usually that's shot in slow motion, 120 frames per second. If we're shooting just your regular property, it could be 24 or 30, just depending on the camera and also the lighting scenario. So if it's a darker home, and you know, sometimes 60 frames per second doesn't allow much light in, and the footage looks a lot grainy depending on what camera you're using. If you're pushing ISO, many times I'd rather shoot with a slower frame rate and a lower ISO setting than a higher frame rate and a higher ISO setting. So you kind of got to just balance. Just know that with higher ISO, typically, unless it has dual native ISO, that it's always the higher the ISO, the worse it looks, the more grain is introduced. So I don't have any problems sometimes just shooting the frame rate. You know, I know a lot of people will say double the frame rate. You know, sometimes if I'm shooting 24 and my frame rate, or my shutter speed is 24 frames, I'm getting cleaner footage than if I would have gone to 50, 1/50 shutter speed, with more noise in the footage. So you kind of just gotta balance it out and know what your end result and your end product is. So I think there are other variables outside of frame rate that are important for real estate videos. So anyways, that's a quick explanation, just my thoughts on frame rates and a little bit on picture profile as well. So if you're interested in learning more about the real estate photography business, you can check out my free workshop. The link is in the description below. That's gonna do it for this one. Reach out if you have any questions. We will see you guys on the next one.